The Split Rock Wildway begins at the 7-mile-long Split Rock Formation on the west shore of Lake Champlain north of Westport, New York. This important wildway continues 15 miles westward across mostly forested landscapes, with pockets of agricultural and post-ag farmland, to join the Jay Mountain wilderness in the distance. Coon Mountain is a well-known feature within the wildway just west of the Split Rock Formation, followed by the Rocky Mount Discovery soon after crossing the Northway. Both mountains have good examples of unique plant communities found on rocky hills and cliffs. The Wildway is an area of mostly conserved land, with public and private ownership that protects existing plant communities, but also protects wildlife movement corridors. The Wildway connects spruce fir forests of the high peaks and Jay Mountain wilderness areas with the low fertile valleys adjacent to Lake Champlain. These corridors protect seasonal wildlife movement between different landscape community types, while providing an opportunity for wildlife to adapt to climate change by facilitating their access to higher terrain. Construction of significant structures to allow wildlife to navigate road crossings will be necessary. These range from replacing undersized culverts, allowing aquatic organisms unobstructed passage under roads during periods of low stream flow, to constructing wildlife crossings over or under Interstate 87 for larger animals like deer and moose. An estimated 15,000 acres of protected land are needed to protect the Split Rock Wildway. Already, some 7,000 acres have been protected through land trusts, state ownership, and conservation easements. Working landscapes are just as important in the conservation of the Wildway as protected landscapes. Both farming with wild principles and sustainable forestry practices conserve wildlife habitat and create a landscape favorable to wildlife movement. Land protection, together with efforts to make landscapes more favorable to wildlife movement, offers us an opportunity to protect the diverse wildlife communities found in the eastern Adirondacks, while we also conserve valuable landscapes. On the north edge of the Split Rock Wildway, we find the proposed Eagle Mountain Preserve would anchor another wildlife corridor between Lake Champlain and the Jay Mountain Wilderness. The cliffs of Eagle Mountain, seen here, host a nesting pair of peregrine falcons. The 2,300-acre preserve contains 3.5 miles of brooks, 155 acres of wetlands, 5 ponds, and 5 peaks, including the rocky summit of Eagle Mountain. The brooks Durgan and Doyle, together with the north branch of the Bocat River, support wild brook trout populations and contain eastern pearl shell mussels, a rare freshwater mussel only found in a few locations within New York State. The northern hardwood and conifer forest covering the landscapes are home to black bear, moose, white-tailed deer, bobcat, American marten, and many other species of wildlife. Ridges of the Eagle Mountain Preserve are topped with red oak, white pine, and red pine. Naturally occurring forests of red pine are rare in New York State, as decades of fire suppression have reduced their stands, which require fire and mineral soil for seed germination. The preserve contains 3.5 miles of brooks. Some of these brooks contain the rare eastern pearl shell mussel. The Eagle Mountain Preserve contains 5 small ponds. From left to right here we see Copper, Nesbit, and Round ponds. Copper Pond is tucked in among steep hillsides. The ponds and streams on the property are habitat for native brook trout. We view the north branch of the Bocat River from the top of Eagle Mountain, looking southeast toward Lake Champlain. The cliffs on Eagle Mountain have long been the site of a nesting pair of peregrine falcons. The shallow ponds like Nesbit serve as important habitat for species such as moose. Clear Pond is the largest water body on the property. The small and remote Round Pond is a fitting end to this visual tour of the Wildways between Lake Champlain and the Jay Mountain Wilderness, reminding us that much of the Adirondacks and the northern forest remain wild.